Just joining us.
Oh, Lord. Great.
Don't worry. Everything we just did is all recorded. Wait. No, it's not.
Great.
Nope, it's not recorded.
Okay. Well, okay. We'll start over. Starting now. Petition calls for Trader Joe's to change its racist packaging.
Okay.
And the little California high school senior, Breonis Bridell, started the petition. She's got 1,800 signatures, which, whoa. And the grocery chain labels some of its ethnic foods with modifications of Joe that belies a narrative of excessism and perpetuates harmful stereotypes.
Yes.
So, Trader Ming's Chinese food, Arabian Joe brands of Middle Eastern foods, Trader Jose brands Mexican, Trader Giotto for Italian, and Trader Joe San brands their Japanese cuisine. The petition continues. She's all set. So I don't know whether they're going to do anything about it.
I think they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they are.
They're gonna cave to this stupid this girl. Well, I read a comment about her. Breonis Bridell is a waste of skin.
Look, that's not true. Look, she's a high school senior. You give her, look, it's a kid. It's a kid.
Right.
Why anybody and why Trader Joe's would pay attention to this is
1,800 signatures. Out of
that's like
million.
what, half her school or something.
I don't know.
I mean,
who knows?
Look, here's she said. I noticed that the complaint was that it exoticizes. The.
Exoticize them. Right.
What's wrong with that? I mean, if I were in the lawsuit, I would just say, well, explain why exotic is bad.
Yeah.
And let her just bury herself in her explanation as to why exotic is bad. Is anything wrong with exotic?
No. Well, no, I don't. Of course not. And you're sitting there, you're thinking, why are you complaining? What is this?
Look, this is about... She saw an opportunity to get a bunch of Twitter hits.
Okay.
Thought she would see something that nobody else has seen. Look at this evil over here. Y'all aren't seeing it. I'm seeing it. And take action.
And she's got her name all over the place.
But there'll be, in today's society, she'll probably go far based on what David Hogg has been able to do. But into Harvard, hey, paint your path, whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when people analyze what she's talking about, hopefully, I mean, when I say the end of the day, I mean the end of the decade, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'll look back and they'll be like, what the hell? Look, you don't infer negativity. There's plenty of negativity out there. There's no reason to...
But why would you? I mean, that's the whole thing.
Well,
these people are in business. They're in business,
right?
Not to offend people.
Well, not only that, but to attract people.
Right, exactly.
Like, that was their best effort to attract those ethnicities.
Right.
Their best effort. They hired a firm, guaranteed, paid them tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to come up with those names.
Yeah.
And so the intent controls, once again, I hate to tell you, but it does. And so I hope they don't cave, but I heard they're going to. We'll see.
Yeah, I didn't get that far in the article. When I saw that she was a high school senior, and obviously one of these privileged people that decides. I mean, I don't know what she is, but I'm thinking, like you say, she's a kid.
Yeah, she's a kid,
and
no need to pounce on her. She's a kid.
Yeah. Okay. This is now the other thing is we were going to have the Republican thing here in Jacksonville.
Yes.
Nothing anymore. No, Trump canceled it. He caved to those people. Of course, the sheriff in Jacksonville said he couldn't. He was not able to guarantee safety for everybody and all the people that are going to be there and so forth.
Yeah.
So anyway, they canceled a portion of the Republican National Convention to be held in Jacksonville. And of course, this is after it moved out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Basically, because North Carolina people were worried about the COVID business.
Yeah.
And that's about a month from now. The thing.
Yeah.
Is about a month off. 23rd, 28th.
Yeah. Well, there is still enough unknowns right now to. I mean, we've still. I think Florida allegedly just passed New York in terms of total number of cases.
Yeah, but of course, New York has still got 5 times the number of deaths.
Right.
I mean, you go to New York to die, basically.
Well, you did.
You did, right? Okay. So anyway, so he's everybody's trying to open up the get the virus. We were talked about here just a minute ago before I was telling you about this, about my friend who has said, if you don't wear your mask, you're killing us.
Right.
You are a horrible, rotten person, and I have nothing to do with you. You are a bad person.
Right. And
Nazi.
From my perspective, everybody needs to take a step back and not attribute the worst intentions to everybody. It's clear that people are doing their best. I mean, you have to rely on that. And it's not that anybody's trying to hurt anybody like that.
No, they're not.
You're not
Right.
even being reckless.
No, they did have. You can get arrested, of course, if you cough on somebody.
Well, sure, but that's an intentional act.
I know that. But I did finally, as you can see from the last thing, I got my hair cut.
Uh-huh.
I got a new barber up here. That fortunately we're close by. Nice, great people, no masks.
There you go. Look, it should be whatever people decide. Look, they're adults. You're adult Americans. You get to decide, and that's
apparently not.
Well, I know it's interesting because now there's these mayors have come out and issued these must-wear mask orders and stuff.
Yeah.
And people are backing on.
Well, there was another one. This was let's see, 39 states now fit the criteria of increasing threat and require visitors and returning residents to stay put for 2 weeks. This is in New York. In New York, Cuomo, but police are at the airports. Mm-hmm. When you come in, you better have someplace to stay, and you got to fill out paperwork.
Yeah.
To tell what you're going to do. If you don't, you can't get out of the airport without filling out the paperwork.
Right.
And so they've got officers stationed there. As you come through customs, and then you go through the officer.
Right.
And here's your paperwork.
Well, look, all the politicians. There's just enough unknowns out there, so that if you're a politician and people are going to blame you for the deaths in your state or whatever, then you're going to err on the side of caution in terms of that. Nobody's going to calculate up the economic loss anytime soon.
No.
And so you don't have to worry about that affecting you politically. All you have to do is clamp down and then say, well, look how, we saved lives. I mean, that's the angle that they're going for. But
well, they have to do what they're doing, as has happened in Hawaii. Also, once you get there, you have to hide out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You have to go into your hotel room or wherever you're going to stay, and you're not allowed to come out for 2 weeks. In order to have not to affect anybody. As I said before when I was talking before we turned on our audio, a friend of mine down in Miami is also one of those people that thinks that if you don't wear a mask, you're a murderer. And I thought it was interesting that my question to him was, what is the precise benchmark that the experts are going to use to give out the all clear signal? Number of deaths, number of hospitalizations. I mean, what is the benchmark? I want to know so that we'll know, are we headed that way or not? Well, it turns out what he said was, oh, well, go read the medical literature, and he gave me 3 places to go for it, and I searched around, and sure enough, I read the CDC, and I read, and basically they don't know, they don't have a clue.
Yeah.
They just don't know.
I think that's obvious. I think if there's one thing that we know right now, it's that nobody knows everything about this virus. There's still reports of its lethality being anywhere from 0.9 down to 0.1 and even below that. And
Yeah.
I've seen projections. So, and we know, for example, you want to talk about normalcy, the schools, if you think about the schools, every kid that's in every school in the country is under 20 years old. And for them, the flu is 10 times more deadly than the coronavirus. And
Right.
even though there's a vaccine, because the vaccine's only 50% effective.
Right.
So the flu is many orders of magnitude more deadly for all kids in school, and yet we don't require kids in school to wear masks because of the flu.
Right.
Now maybe we will, but I don't think so. I think we'll go back to the new normal. I think just if the deaths in this recent surge don't rise up to meet the recent infection levels.
Well, one of the things is the one thing that there was an article in Scientific American that talked about how pandemics end, and they said there's 2 ways. One, you come up with a vaccine, which is a year away. I mean,
At least it's theoretical still. We may never have a vaccine.
And of course it's only 50% effective. So that's a year away. So are we supposed to wear masks for a year? No. People are not going to put up with it, and so you have what you call a social end. To the other way is people just get bored with it. They say, screw it, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting to see what the powers that be with the guns are going to do about that. At what point are there too many people out there not wearing masks for them to go around and arrest everybody?
Well, interestingly, there are actually mask police these days, if you can believe it.
Why would I not believe that? I totally believe that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what these guys in New York are doing, of course.
This guy right here is the mask police, and he's enforcing this. His situation on this guy who's signing the ticket here, and I think it's a $100 ticket.
Oh, where is this?
I think it's in Texas.
Okay, it doesn't really matter. But he's got a badge on, right?
Oh yeah, that's his badge hanging over his neck, and he's got a badge,
nice uniform,
mask. Yeah, shorts, T-shirt.
Well, and of course it's a blue shirt because Blue Lives Matter.
Well, here he's got a buddy here who's black with him, one of his cop friends, and they're giving this guy a ticket, and the guy's trying to refuse to sign, but he doesn't know. It's incredible the acceptance of this kind of thing. Now, I've heard some people say, well, of course the government can order you to wear a mask. They can order you to wear a seatbelt and to drive safely,
right.
and they can order food inspections at the restaurants you go to. Yeah, all of those are civil.
Okay.
All of those are civil.
Okay.
There is no such body of law where they can make something a crime if you don't do it. And so and that's what people haven't. I mean, they're not seeing the line there, but we'll see if they see it eventually. So I don't know.
Well, I've been really amazed by the number. Of course, it's all over the place. But you drive around town here and you see people in their own car with wearing a mask, or they're out and they're 100 feet away from anybody else, and they're still wearing a mask, walking down the sidewalk. And I'm thinking,
well, look, as I said before, it makes some people feel better. So, and look, it's probable that it is marginally effective, and it's probable that it's more effective than it is detrimental. So, I mean, there's some people that it impairs their oxygen or whatever, or if they've got asthma or something like that. But they're few, and they're not as common as everybody, and so.
Well, I think that this thing, as it is right now, you've got the people that consider you basically you are murdering my grandmother if you don't wear a mask, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, probably not. And
well, yeah, the grandma needs to stay home. Look,
right.
It's up to grandma to protect herself.
Yeah.
Grandma lives in a world where nature.
Grandma says she can't, because what happens is somebody brings it into her.
That's grandma's fault.
Yeah.
You protect yourself in this universe.
Yeah.
And so. Now, I mean, that being said, right now there's a giant hit piece on DeSantis in the Washington Post.
Oh, in the Washington Post, what are they doing? It's not a Florida paper, huh?
No, well, it was somewhere else maybe first. I don't know.
Okay,
but
hit piece on our governor.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the headline is DeSantis sidelines scientists in Florida.
Okay.
So clearly, what happened was, now I mean, I didn't read the article because it's behind a paywall, but if you can infer what it said, which is obviously some top scientists came to DeSantis and said, we have the solution, we can save a bunch of your people, and he said, hold on a minute, you guys, you're out of the game, take a bench, and let me give Trump a call, because I'm looking out for my political future, not the well-being of Floridians.
Right.
And so I'm not sure how he makes the calculation of why it'd be better for his election purposes to have more deaths in Florida. That's the implication, is that somehow he can let people die and it'll just rev up the red meat eating base or something. I'm not sure how that works, but it could be that DeSantis is just woke, okay? Because we've been told by the museum, the National Museum for African American Culture, that science is white. And so he may be just rejecting the science to go against the white patriarchy. He may be just trying to be woke that way.
Okay, yeah.
So it's possible. It's hard to say. Now the article also did. Actually, I did find the article, and it did say that that he listens. He does everything his wife says.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I thought it also says he does everything Trump says. So I'm not sure who to believe there. I'm not sure which one of those things.
Don't believe either one of them.
Yeah, well, right, of course.
Basically, yeah.
It's interesting that they infer, people imply, like people hear about Trump all the time and they say, well, he's Putin's puppet.
Yeah.
But then he got help from Ukraine. Well, wait a minute. I mean, does that mean he takes orders from Ukraine or from Putin? And then now he's apparently soliciting help from Xi, from China.
Oh, yeah.
So then who's he going to take orders from then? And you got to figure, I mean, if he's not taking orders from just one of them, then that means he's making up his own mind or something. Weird.
Ooh, yeah, can't have that.
I mean, so it's interesting how people will paint people's intentions that way. But look, you have
mind readers.
Well, exactly. There's a lot of mind reading happening right now. People. I mean, the article starts off with Donald Trump wanted to do X, and therefore he did this or something. It's like they think they can figure out what people are thinking.
Well, a lot of it. I have noticed how many articles are they think they're thinking this might happen.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff in there, and you're saying, well, why am I reading this? You don't know.
Right.
And it's amazing how many articles are totally hedged.
Yeah.
As to what are you talking about?
Yeah. But there's another one. Well, I figure we'll get to the to Portland at some point.
Yeah, Portland and Seattle both, huh?
Yeah.
Portland, yeah. Well, let me just go through here
Sure.
first of all. As long as we're talking about deaths, Florida's hit with 173 coronavirus deaths, a new record, as case totals run past almost 400,000. I think it probably is over 400,000. So there were 173 new Florida resident deaths announced, increasing this death toll to 5,000. Well, of course, what's interesting, one of the problems with this announcement is that you don't get the deaths. Sometimes somebody will die, and it won't be 3 or 4 or 5 days before they find out what they died from, and they announce all of them on the same day.
This is the backlog chart.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, this is from FIU, and it shows how it's impossible to follow because the colors are all so damn similar, but it shows you that the reporting dates are not the actual dying dates. And so now they still have increased, but the 7-day rolling average is a little bit better in terms of predicting the trend, but there's still a lot of uncertainty. That's just the bottom line.
There's a phenomenal amount of uncertainty, but of course that's not stopping our glorious overlords from mandating.
They're nervous. They're nervous. What are you going to do? You show up in November and you're the guy. You're Cuomo. You've had the most deaths in your state. Now, fortunately, he's got the backing of the media or whatever. So,
not his fault.
Right. No, he did a fantastic job.
One thing people don't realize, of course, is they're pillaring DeSantis here, our governor. We could have had Gillum.
Right.
And who, just got out of rehab from whatever he did. I mean, God, can you imagine what this state would be like if we'd had...
Well, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean...
So, be careful what you wish for, folks.
What would be different?
Yeah. Okay. I'm done with the coronavirus right now.
Okay.
And I did say that, this was nothing. Silence is unacceptable. Silence is apparently also is a way to, is a bad thing. And yet if you talk, that's also bad. And this has to do with the silence is unacceptable. Boston Red Sox unveil a huge Black Lives Matter next to Fenway Park ahead of MLB opening day. So the BLM is a big thing on Fenway Park. The Red Sox team management said they weren't anticipating that any other players would kneel during the national anthem this season, but would support anybody who does. And I'm you look at the places that have the on the streets, for instance. And where was it? Someplace that somebody they had the Black Lives Matter, and somebody else came up and wanted to put on a street something about white lives, I think, or something.
No, it was another thing but it wasn't quite that. It was it was like MAGA 2020.
Oh, MAGA 2020, or MAGA 2020, something like that. And boy, I'll tell you, they want to scrape that Black Lives Matter off the thing right away because they couldn't show, they couldn't
show no bias.
Yeah, no bias. So they really got rid of that in a hurry. I thought that was.
Now, I was a clever attorney that figured out that they couldn't refuse the other one.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that MLB has caved to BLM at this point, and I'm curious to see how long they will maintain that stance.
You know what's going to be fascinating to me is, of course, they're talking about, apparently, for like $100, you can get a standee of yourself in the stands.
No way.
Yeah. No, you can get, you send them a photo or whatever,
right,
and they make a cutout and put it in the stands.
For what?
Well, because they're going to have the cheering, and they're going to show this. They're going to have.
This is so George Orwell, man. I mean,
well, it's good. They're going to have the, what do you call it? That's how they're going to make a few bucks, I guess. But the thing about it is interesting is they're going to have the cheering is going to be the way the laugh track is in some shows.
Yeah, well, actually, they've actually got an app already set up.
No.
Yeah, and it responds to your cheering at home.
Really?
Yeah, now it doesn't directly pipe your cheering at home into the stadium, but what it does is it measures your cheering at home, and then it recreates a simulation to that effect using their crowd noise.
But I mean, so you can't really holler anything obscene at the ump?
Well, you can, but I don't think it'll come through.
No, you're going to come through.
That's
Can
right.
you imagine?
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, blind in the back. What did you
It'd be funny if they had those little.
Yeah, no, they
had
just every once in a while.
That's it.
That's the way I would do it. I'll tell you.
Well, that would be a great thing. And the other funny thing about the play calling that's going to go on is, of course, when they put all the names of all the causes on the back of the jerseys for the basketball players.
Okay.
And then you get a play call that's like Black Lives Matter passes down to raise taxes, and raise taxes for the junk and the board by Universal Basic Income. And Universal Basic Income dribbles down the court and passes off to Universal Health Care. I don't know how long they're going to maintain their audience with a political bent like that. I mean, I
tell you the truth. I think this has really gone way off the deep end on this stuff. Their audiences are gonna go away in droves.
Yeah, I think they probably will dry up.
I mean, I was looking on my Facebook page earlier today, and on some of this stuff, I forget exactly what it was, but one guy said he was never going to, or not one, a bunch of them were saying, I have turned off MLB.
I can't remember going back through the decades, aside from a breast cancer awareness ribbon pin, I can't remember another political protest that involved all the sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I guess it's the kneeling thing. And so, and of course, now they're all doing that in the black cloth. Did you see the black cloth?
No, what is that?
I don't know. Somebody had this idea that everybody should hold this black cloth. And so they made a piece of black cloth that was like this long, thin, like it looked like a giant scarf, 100 feet long or something, and all the members of the team sat there and held it. I don't know. It means something.
That solved a lot of problems.
That's right. Well, that's what's interesting about this whole thing. They need some better spokespeople because I mean they destroyed a Starbucks in the bottom of some apartment complex.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this last couple days. I saw the pictures. I mean, it's just devastated. I'm thinking, man, Starbucks, man. I mean, that's a guy you could go to and be like, hey, we need $1 million, but we won't touch any Starbucks, and they would probably be like, no problem.
Yeah,
but I guess it's all decentralized, and there is no. This is just sort of acting out for attention because they don't know what else to do.
Oh, that's true. Well, they did say that Starbucks apparently has, because they have the premium coffee and everything, people aren't going as much. So now people have dropped down to the less
Arabica.
Yeah, right.
Or the Robusta.
Yeah, Robusta. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been keeping Starbucks in clover.
Okay, you've been doing your part. That's right. Every player on the Nationals and Yankees kneels prior to the national anthem. How does taking a knee before the national anthem help that? It's interesting because that's the question: is what actually have you accomplished?
I know,
You
it's
stupid
unfortunate.
people, yeah.
Well, I don't call them stupid because they're recognizing that there's some disparity in society right now, and I think,
Yeah.
from my perspective, it's much more economic than anything else. If these people had jobs that they had to go to, if there were no minimum wage laws, for example, and a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other barriers to entry,
Right.
Half of these kids would have jobs.
Right.
And
Probably all of them. I
yeah,
mean half.
exactly. I mean, a bunch more of them, and they would be competing in that dominance hierarchy as opposed to the gang dominance hierarchy, which
Yeah.
is in the street.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but I mean that's the real problem. But they don't know it. They're focused on race or
Yeah.
police brutality or something. It's like, well, that misses the mark a bit. They're stealing. In fact, because of all this, they're stealing money out the freaking bank. With the bailouts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's because of the COVID more than it was because of. I mean,
Yeah, they're supposed to do another $1 trillion one here. So they said by the end of the month, which is like this weekend.
Well, I think it's by the end of August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was.
They said by August, but they meant by the end of August.
Okay. Okay, let me move on here.
Sure.
This has to do with the closing of the consulates in China and the United States. The United States has ordered the consulate in because it was a den, and our Marco Rubio was one of them. I don't like him for this. He said it was a den of spies over there in Houston. The Chinese consulate in Houston.
Aren't they all?
Aren't they all? Right, exactly. So they want.
I mean, isn't that what the whole point of a consulate is to?
As far as I know, you're always what do you call it? You're the cultural attaché,
Yeah.
AKA spy.
Right.
I mean, give me a break. Of course you are.
Right, and if you're not the spy, your driver is or something. I mean,
well, you can drive what's her name around.
right? Yeah, exactly. That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's right. For 20 years, spying on one of the highest paid people in the Congress. Well, so anyway, the deal is that they ordered that closed, and of course the guy at the consulate said, "Yeah, we're not going to close. We don't care." And so then the tit for tat, the Chinese wanted one of our consulates to close over in China, and they said, now you have to go home,
Yeah.
and so forth. So this is
Now this is the Trump that's soliciting help from Putin, from Xi. Is that?
yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting to me how the relationship is sort of rocky and going back and forth. But I mean,
Well, the thing
it doesn't seem.
it says, but if China does try to keep its consulate open, they basically said, we're not going to. Well, you can't tell us to close it. Well, because as you know, the
It's their
consulates,
property.
yes, their property. That's a little piece of China in
Yeah.
Houston. But of course, what the United States can do, it says here, is they can revoke their visas.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a visa, of course, if you're sitting in Chinese territory, then
Yeah.
I mean, you can revoke all you want,
That's
but
it.
I'm,
We're revoked.
I'm sitting here in China, and you can't come and get me. So that would allow federal agents to arrest and potentially deport them. But I don't know how the federal agents they can't go in the consulate. I mean, they can't bust down the door. Really, I don't think.
It's weird because if I were in charge and I figured out that they were a consulate which was doing some spying, what I would do is feed them false information.
Of course.
I mean,
Of course you would. And that's what you do.
You leave it there and you set up the channels
and not only that, you of course what you do is you do the information overload dump. Also, it's not only false information, but it's everything.
Right.
And wade through this. So, anyways, China shutters the American consulate in Chengdu as the new Cold War heats up. So forth, the White House has just released its first official statement on the tit-for-tat consulate closures that have occurred over the past 3 days. White House urges the Chinese Communist Party to cease these malign actions rather than engage in tit-for-tat retaliation and so forth. So they said that it's a difficult situation, and of course the president of the Z of the president of the Communist Party said this is entirely the fault of the United States. So, what do you expect?
I'm not worried about a Cold War or a hot war with China. To me, the most provocative relationship area that we have with them is the South China Sea.
South China Sea, right?
And I haven't heard anything other than every once in a while we keep sending a battleship through there, and that's about it.
Yeah, you can see them bumping into each other or something.
Yeah, and I think look. We may have to do another report on the privatization of China, because when you listen to Scott Adams or somebody else, you'd think that that their country is deteriorating. When there's the Uyghur issue and whatever's going on with that, and of course Hong Kong and things like that, but there are the countervailing forces of capitalism over there, and they are growing. So maybe we'll recap that at some point.
We'll see. All right. Of course, one other thing I thought was kind of interesting, and the mayor of Washington, to go back to the COVID again, the mayor of Washington D.C. He said he ordered to clarify and extend requirements related to wearing masks indoors and outdoors in Washington D.C. He wants to extend the state of emergency and public health emergency for Washington D.C. through October 9th. Okay, so I don't know what the deal is on the 9th, but the mayor's orders were effective immediately. Under the new mayor's order on masks, people must wear a mask when they leave their homes if they are likely to come in contact with another person for more than a fleeting moment. Exceptions. Listed in the mayor's order, the common exceptions include children under the age of 3. Now, this is what gets me, is you've got a 4-year-old,
Made some
yeah, God, a 4-year-old, okay, under the age of, who came up with that number?
Well, look, obviously, this is a politician erring on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And really, realistically, they could have said under the age of 20, because apparently they're
right. Yeah, because apparently if you're under 20, you've got a 0.001 chance.
Right. But then there's these anecdotal stories. I saw another bleeding news article that said 20-year-old kills her grandfather by going to a party. And of course, my first thought is, how do you know that that's where he got it from? Now they're going to say, well, she was the only person he interacted with. Well, still you don't know. No. And I saw a study out of Germany that said if somebody in your household has it, you're only 15% chance of getting it. And I mean, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
But my point is that article.
They know.
Yeah, right. My point is that the article didn't know. So they did a study of 1,000 people in a village, which is an okay study, but not really. I mean, they had 7 people die. So I mean, if you think about that, and they're doing these calculations based on this number of 7 people. I mean, 1 or 2 of them could have died. Or misdiagnosed, or what? I mean,
anything,
it throws the numbers all off
completely. Yeah.
But even by their estimation, it was the fatality rate's down to 0.3 or so.
Well, at any rate, the new mayor's orders, they must wear a mask when they leave their homes, or likely even for fleeting. Listed the common exceptions: children under the age of 3, or a person who is in an enclosed office that no one else is allowed to enter. I mean, a person who is actively eating or drinking.
Hey, this is science, all right?
And a person who is engaged in vigorous outdoor exercise and is maintaining social distance of at least 6 feet from other people. So if you are... Now, they did give an exception for the fleeting.
Yeah.
So if you are on the trail and you're running, and somebody else is, and you either pass them or they pass you, I guess that counts as a fleeting.
I'm hoping so. I can tell you this: I've been passing people the last couple of days, and they're moving off the trail.
No.
Yeah. I mean, people are crossing the road and moving off the trail. And the trail is 10 feet wide.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pass 10 feet from somebody. And I'm not breathing hard. I mean, I'm exercising, but I'm not breathing heavy. And so, but whatever. I mean, like you said, you got to take care of yourself, your own self. That's...
And if you're...
That's
but I mean,
white self-reliance.
How have you been brainwashed when you move off the trail?
Well, I mean, look, for all I know, it was a super vulnerable person who had, 7 different comorbidities or something. I mean, it's been a few people.
What are they doing outside anyway?
Well, you got to get out and get some. I mean, this was one time it was in the middle of Nowheresville. I mean, Hawthorne, nothing, woods on either side for miles, and people walking, and I'm biking, so I'm going to pass them in like a half a second.
Yeah, if that, right. Well, okay, moving on, of course, they're going to have McConnell, they're going to have another shot of adrenaline, he calls it.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. More stimulus checks.
Uh-huh.
Well, Mrs. Jimmy's looking for hers again, I'll tell you that, she said. But anyways, they're talking about another package with a price tag of $1 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
The key to Republican support for the package is making sure that those who are without work do not make more on unemployment than they would if they were working. What's interesting is that on August 1st, like this is Sunday or something, the $600 a week additional benefit it expires.
Uh-huh.
And here's people getting an extra $600 a week, and suddenly nothing, nada. And
well, they've been saving a lot of that probably.
Oh yeah. No, you got that right. Yeah.
Well, so my question is, let me ask you this: what do you think the odds are that everybody passes a bill and Democrats go along with it, so long as the benefits end about October 1st?
Could very well be. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. It's interesting. The House Democratic Caucus Chairman Hakeem Jeffries, D. of New York, said it was cruel-hearted and callous to cut off the additional unemployment to $600. Cruel-hearted and callous, without extending the program, and a failure, of course, of the Senate and the White House.
Yeah.
Failure of leadership. We think it'll make a big impact, of course, as it would another $600, I guess. And of course, the focus is on kids and jobs. You can't go wrong with that.
Well, all that means is they're going to give money to employers.
I guess. But Manchin said that they were aiming to pass the legislation before the end of July. But you're saying it's the end of August.
Well, I'm saying it'll be the end of August before your check gets out there.
Okay,
even if they pass it by July, they got to pass it in both houses. It's got to be signed and then administered.
Well, they're going to try and also pack in there no liability for frivolous lawsuits.
Oh yeah,
of people that are going to claim that they got a disease from some company or whatever it was, and they're trying to get rid of that. So, okay. Let's see if I got something else here before we go. Donald Trump, conservative. One of the big deals is nearly 75% of adults say social media companies wield too much power and influence over politics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe. It's interesting because when I read I still go on Facebook and a couple of other places, and the opinions are all over the place. I mean, they're like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
An opinion, and so they apparently are now have gotten the idea that Facebook and the big three are wielding too much power. Well, they're private companies, and they're going to go the way of MySpace.
Yeah, and this charge is levied against, it was the press recently. I mean, 20 years ago, it was, the New York Times has too much influence, and so somebody's always concerned. They're not going to influence them, but other people.
That's the thing that I always see is that when people are talking about how Trump has really destroyed this and I asked, well, how has it affected you personally? You, who still gets a paycheck. How has it affected you personally? Well, not me, but I'm worried about those other people. But why? I mean...
Well, it makes sense that you would be, but it's if you don't know anybody like that, then...
Are you going to put us back up on the...
Well, we're up. What I was waiting for, we're up here. Don't worry. What I was doing here is I thought we were going to talk about Portland, and I had when you said mayor, I've got the Portland mayor.
Okay, let's go to mayor. Let's go to Portland. Portland, big deal in Portland.
Yeah, Porta Potty land.
They have been. Let's see now in Portland. Have they been protesting every evening for like 2 months?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and would a couple hundred people go?
Apparently, yeah.
Apparently, okay.
Until apparently, Donald Trump sent the shock troops down there.
Yes.
And that now, according to all of the reports coming out of the riots, is that it's not them doing anything bad. It's that the federal troops are there stirring up trouble.
Ah.
And then when you dig down, of course, what you find out is all the federal troops are doing is protecting one courthouse.
Right. Well, and it's a federal courthouse.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're for protecting federal property. Well, I talked to you about this another time, and that was one of the things that sort of started the Civil War, was when the state of South Carolina fired on the federal tax collecting thing at Fort Sumter.
Yeah.
And
But that was between the state and the government.
yeah.
And also, it was over the money, like you said. It was over the ability to collect that taxes.
Right.
These people don't want to control this courthouse. They just want to destroy it. I mean, and they don't even want to destroy it, really. They just want to make a statement and draw some attention.
They were putting graffiti all over it, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at these pictures, I mean, it's destroyed. Portland, it's porta-potty land, basically. But now they've got, I mean, this is what they're doing to the courthouse here. They got, the feds set up a fence perimeter.
Yeah.
And now this is, interestingly, the city is trying to force them to take it down because they didn't get a permit first.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
No,
it's true.
No.
Now, Trump has literally 100 federal troops here, okay?
Okay.
And some people are calling this martial law.
Right.
They're like, oh, look, he's taken over Portland.
Well, what's interesting, I thought, apparently they have the ability to arrest people.
Yeah.
Now, but I did not know this. Apparently, there is a perimeter around the courthouse.
Sure.
That is beyond this fence.
Right.
I think they can go 2 or 3 city blocks to arrest somebody.
Right.
That they think might take action against.
Right. Which makes perfect sense if you think. Yeah, because if you think about it, what happens is somebody runs up with a Molotov cocktail and they heave it at the building, and then they run back a couple of blocks.
Okay.
So you see them do that, and you can go get the person.
Okay.
And so you're not on the property, but you can go interact with anybody that you have probable cause to believe committed or is about to commit a crime.
Well, I think what they're worried about is that the idea of probable cause is flexible.
Well, it is to some extent, and look, this entire protest movement has been to some extent about that, but this is unambiguous. I mean, I can show you, I can show you them lighting the fire that is up next to here they are they've got a rope attached to the fence and they're all pulling it. I mean, this is clearly a crime. I mean, it's clearly. I'm the first person to defend people when there's any ambiguity. The first. But there's no ambiguity here. I mean, these people can't argue that they're not doing something illegal. I mean, it doesn't. They can't argue that this is.
So what have they got against the courthouse?
Well, again, this is they have no idea. I mean, I guess my only thought is that the courthouse is in some way a representation of Trump.
Okay.
Because it's federal.
Okay.
I mean, because the federal police didn't kill George Floyd.
No.
I mean, that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
There's no federal case associated with it in any way. I mean, why? Look, this is kids. This is the world's largest cosplay event, is what is happening. I mean, you literally, they're kids out there. They're dressed up in costumes. They've got bicycle helmets and umbrellas for shields, and they're shooting fireworks and paintball or pepper ball sprays back and forth at each other. At any moment, the feds could come out and end this whole thing.
Okay.
At any moment, they could simply announce that they're going to use live rounds.
Ooh.
And you can either leave the premises or you can get shot. And that's what they would do in China or someplace. I mean, they wouldn't stand for this.
Square, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mow them down. And so to think that these guys are going to win something by agitating. I mean, they're throwing water on them and stuff. It's just a game. This is just because they got nothing better to do. And again, there are a couple of underlying societal issues which people can latch on to, like the inequality issue and the police state issue, which are both directly related. So,
well, I find it interesting that they did manage to get all fired up for that thing. So it's ongoing, right? And of course the mayor of Portland has said to the feds, "Get out."
Yeah. Well, he did. He went down there and got gassed. I showed that.
Yes, that's right. Got tear gas.
Yeah, and then he got drummed off the street by the protesters as well.
Really?
Yeah. And
why?
Well, because he's an official.
Okay.
And they're not distinguishing between officials.
Okay.
At this point.
Okay.
And they don't know what they're arguing about. Is the whole point. I mean, they really don't know what this is all about. They can say they say Black Lives Matter, but they don't know how that translates into policy.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate because if they could end the war on drugs, if it was about that, if they got all this momentum. I mean, here we've been trying people to pay attention to overreach by the government for decades.
Yeah.
And here they are doing it. And yet they're focused on not exactly the right thing, or they're just, I don't know if I shouldn't say focused, because it's
a mob. I mean,
right, exactly.
And everybody's there are no leaders, I don't think, in any of this stuff.
I mean, somewhere, but certainly nobody. It's not like there's any fealty to the leaders or anything like that. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, look at this. This is the wall of moms. Have you seen this?
No.
Oh God.
What are they doing out there?
Protesting.
Okay, about what?
Well, I guess don't know, because I mean they're at the federal building also.
Okay.
And so now I think at this point the Portland people have been told that what they're rioting for is the right to throw the feds off their street or something.
Okay, yeah.
The right to do whatever they want, like block traffic and destroy Starbucks and stuff, without having the federal government show up. Or something. I mean, and of course it's probably different for different people. I mean, maybe some people down there with exactly the right idea in mind.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the focus on attacking a federal courthouse just doesn't make any sense. And it's not exactly like I saw one guy. I guess it was the mayor of Portland. He was like, "We're staring down the barrel of martial law."
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, look, now this is one building in one city in one state. Okay, you let me know.
Yeah, no.
When it gets to
they're all for the hyperbole. Of course, is just people talk about. Again, same thing. You're murdering my grandmother.
Right?
No, I'm not.
The guy on McLaughlin Group this week was like, "Well, Trump's virus, blah blah blah," and it's like Nancy saying Trump killed George Floyd.
Yeah.
And so whatever,
All right. Well, the last thing I have has to do with this. As I told you, I finally went over and got my hair cut.
Yes.
And that was fine because great people, no masks needed. Just walked in and just did it, and we're really, really nice conversation and everything.
Uh-huh.
Now, one of the things that has happened, I don't know if you've noticed this, but a lot of these, some of the people who are the talking heads on TV are at their own home or they're someplace else, and they're starting to look a little shabby. Some of them,
yeah, okay.
So they're having a little problem getting to because in some places the barbershops are not essential.
Sure.
They
every one of those people has a hair and makeup. I mean, before you go on air,
you have to. Well, no, except it's over at the studio.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
normally.
but I mean, if you're not at the studio.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying normally they have hair.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Totally. I mean, when you think about. Somebody like Johnny Carson, who was on every night, and his hair, it never changed. It got grayer, but I mean, basically the haircut was because they would snip off, a millimeter every night.
Why not?
So yeah, exactly. So to keep it the same. But anyway, so this person, they've invented a robo barber.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's an AI robo barber cut hair in a post-COVID world.
See, now I want to see him do it with a samurai sword.
No, but they're doing. But you know what's interesting? It's not electronic clippers. It's with actual scissors.
No way.
Yes, and it uses AI, and they showed this guy getting a haircut. Which I tell you right now, you can say what you want.
You want to be the first one?
Not me, pal. No. I just, that's all I got to see is, as the scissors go through into the brain. No, but anyway, they said that the little problem they're having was the robo barber was timid and didn't take off much. Number one, and didn't take off much around the ears. Stayed away from the ears.
Yeah.
And of course, the other thing that barbers do is, for me at any rate, is they do my eyebrows. And you can see, if I'm not sure I'm going to have somebody, the robo, and no, I don't think so. But anyway, so it says if you can't afford a private barber to make it home, well, there are no barbershops open because state governments deemed these businesses not essential. So anyway, this guy has invented, and I had a picture of it. It's all it's all machinery and everything, and the little scissors and everything, cutting hair. And I think it reminds me a little bit of one of the Star Wars things where their robots are the waiters and everybody. They're doing all that stuff. You remember that guy with the 4 arms?
Yeah.
Okay, but the waiters. So now, are they going to, as you see more and more robot type stuff, your own checkout stand? You now can go to McDonald's, and when you order something, it gets cooked and delivered some way, shape, or form. No human hands. I don't know what all. But this is now when you get the barber people out of the business. That's when you think about it, especially for ladies barbers, the stylists or whatever, and they get hundreds of dollars to do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Boy, they're going to be against this. I mean,
it'll be a long time before this thing. Like, look, this. You know what this reminded me of when you tell me? You remember the scene in Aliens when Bishop did the thing with the knife?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Okay.
Okay. This is your barber who. Yeah. He may be really good. Let's see him cut your hair with a samurai sword.
Yeah. Okay.
And now. At some point, they'll get good enough in 10 years or 20 years or something. But the visual recognition is the real problem, as you know. And that's why we still don't have perfect safe driving automatic cars, is because there's just too many objects that if you rotate it just slightly and get it in a little bit different light and it's colored the wrong way, it looks like something completely different. I mean, it literally looks like something completely different.
Well, the thing about it, though, is when you realize there are some 30,000 to 40,000 deaths on the highway as it is,
right,
with people.
Right.
Oh, so, I mean, if you could cut that in half, I don't care who you are.
They will.
Yeah.
It'll be soon. Apparently, we're on level 5 now, according to Elon, which is the fully autonomous level. And they're just testing it at this point.
Yeah. Well, again, the thing that's so bad is that every time there is now an accident, or some lady got killed, she stepped off the curb or something, and the car hit her and killed her. And,
it's fine. It'll all come down to the actuary.
This was headline news.
Yeah.
Autonomous car kills old lady.
It won't matter, though, because as soon as the actuaries calculate that their insurance company can give somebody a discount, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And as soon as they do that, the rush is going to be on.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just think that I thought this was interesting that this pandemic is, some of the things that are happening is. Apparently, homeschooling or teaching via over the interweb or something is taking on new importance.
Sure.
And you wonder what's going to happen to the school systems, for instance.
I'm hoping it's a cataclysmic revolution.
I think it could very well be. And I think that one of the things that did happen is the scare tactics were out there, of course. You can't imagine the scare tactics.
Did you see the Democratic Socialists Party and the teachers' unions' demands for reopening the schools in California?
God, what was
the first thing was moratorium on charter schools.
Right. Yeah.
In other words, first eliminate our competition.
That's right.
I mean, it doesn't get any less American than that.
No, that's right.
I mean, hey, first, we want you to use the power of government to shut everybody else down
Right.
that we're competing with.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, I saw
Because
that.
we're scared to death that they're going to offer a service that we can't compete with, even
Well-
though we're fully funded by the government.
Well, there were 2 or 3 other things in that list too that were just as outrageous.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember what they were.
To me, that was just it.
Yeah, eliminating my competition. That's
Right,
good.
come
Wouldn't
on.
that be nice?
Yeah, sure.
We'd all like to do that.
Right.
So,
But to make, they're able to make. Go ahead.
well, it's just that the distance learning and that sort of thing. One of the problems they were screaming about was, if you have a house with 2 or 3 or 4 kids in it, gosh, not everybody has a computer. Well, yeah, and they have to share, and this is horrible, and you don't get the interaction, and the other students, and of course you don't get the bullying either. But the other stuff is, but it's interesting to the when you hear the school board people, the people that have a vested interest in the school system as it is, you would think it was nirvana. The school system is just.
Oh, you mean the one as it is today?
Yeah.
Right. Well, of course, look, we know, like you said, especially the union people, their lives, their identities depend on defending that system. And they're going to fight tooth and nail. That's where the battle is going to be. But it may happen this fall because there is going to be such an incredible demand from the parents to educate their kids.
Yeah.
And you're going to have these top-down controls, as we talked about last week, from all different levels. You're going to have the feds ordering something, the states ordering something, the municipalities ordering something.
County.
They'll all overlap. They'll all conflict.
Yeah.
And what'll happen is people will maybe, hopefully, make the switch. Wait a minute. Maybe if I had some choice in the matter, then you could set up a school over here, which was all distance learning and masks and vaccines and everything, and another school over here, which is no masks and kids in a classroom and a teacher and that kind of stuff. And then you let the people decide where they want to spend their money. And it's going to be interesting to see if anybody starts making that connection there, because we're so entrenched with the concept of that the state has to educate everybody, and the parents don't know what the hell they're doing, and,
Right.
and if you left them to their own devices, nobody would educate their kids at
Yeah, right,
all.
yeah, I mean-
you got to force them.
You think about it, the founding fathers, of course, didn't have. They were all uneducated.
Well,
I mean,
they're
can you-
racist devils. is what
Racist.
they-
That's right. They're all slaveholders and
That's
everything.
right, and they didn't have the wherewithal to create a public education system.
No. So that's why they wrote something like the Declaration of Independence. For
The
God's sake.
stinky old Declaration.
Yeah, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, one of the things you do see in the Declaration of Independence, which is great, hey, look at the penmanship.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It's fantastic.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. And this
Yeah.
is a regular guy, you know.
And he's writing with a freaking quill.
Yeah, quill. That's right. Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
We've come far from that.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, anyway, that's pretty much what I've got.
Okay.
And actually, it's time.
Yeah. And let me just see here if I got
you
any
had anything
small things here. Couple of small things, but not really worth mentioning. So, this is one thing here. I'll open this. This here. This is a woman challenging the cops here. This is a white woman. She's they're telling her to get back, and she's like, or effing what? And they're like, or we take you into custody. Which they do. And it's like people, I don't understand how they think that their rights allow them to do anything. It's like, no, you can't do anything. And so, anyway. All right.
Well, we'll find out. Maybe by Wednesday we'll have some more answers. We'll
Yep.
see.
Well, all right. Well, sorry about the beginning if anybody was watching here. If not, I'll get it all cleaned up for later anyway. So, thanks for joining us. Thanks for providing us with these tracks. Dr. McLeod, we appreciate it. We'll be back on Wednesday, the 29th. see you soon.